5.5?
I mean 5.5,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We're going to start on our items for individual consideration. We're going to start with 5.5 when we get to that section of the meeting. The conveyance of properties will be the first item for individual consideration. Any other amendments? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Gibson and a second by Ms. Knight to adopt the agenda. All in favor of adopting the agenda? 5-0, Ms. Tanner. Okay, we are going to move on to public comment, and we have two. Mr. Bart Alford, if you will please come up first. Thank you so much.
Thank
You're now
you.
recognized to speak.
Good evening. My name is Bart Alford. I'm here tonight to speak concerning the People Progression Plan. I have a question concerning the People Progression Plan. I'm very concerned with student achievement. The 20 years I sat on the board as a school board member, I was a board member constantly asking for data from the superintendent concerning student achievement. As a citizen, I do not feel that people should have to come to the board or board members should have to ask for student achievement to be presented. I feel it should be presented monthly, and there should be a standing holder place in the meeting where student achievement is discussed by the coordinator of instruction or whomever is designated to speak. Again, I have concerns concerning the trajectory of the district concerning the test scores. Most specifically with last year's scores with third grade, with ELA only being at 81%, we're not proficient. That's significant. That's a significant number where students will have a tremendous time trying to catch up. In math, 68%. The question I have concerning this, I think it was on page 21 in the plan, it was concerning promotion. And in looking back historically, I want to say in 2008, the board chose to have cut scores where kindergarten and first graders, if they didn't have the score, then they were retained to try to help them catch up prior to third grade. Really by third grade, there's so much time that's passed, and if you're a third grader on first grade level or kindergarten, it's really hard to catch up. I did see in the plan where it said that a level 2, I think, would be, but is that, and maybe Ms. Brown can address it since she's here, is that in conjunction with all the things that are listed, or is it they must have a level 2 in order to be promoted?
They could use that, the board, they didn't have the grades, but if they scored the 2, just as with like their third grade, and we have to talk to
Where-
speak with Dr. Holmes on this part.
Where I have concerns with that is that grades are not always with fidelity into grade level mastery. If so, we wouldn't go to awards days and have so many people get an honor roll, and we have been, when grades come out, we have so
Mr.
many people who are
Alford,
level 1.
you've got about 30 seconds left.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
With that being said, I would just like some clarification. Is it a cut score, or can you decide? And just historically, with the decision, it's going to come down to parents do not want their children retained, and it's going to be a decision that the board's going to have to make to try to move the district forward. And historically, if you look at the scores, that did move us up. At that time, I want to say in 2015, we were probably at 58% proficient in the district.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our comments, we have Ms. Gwen Hubbard. You are now recognized to speak to the board, and I will start your timer when you begin speaking.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Before I begin, I guess I want to ask a question about the student progression plan. Did I miss the public hearing section after the advertisement period? Are we in that phase, or what happened to that?
No, we just had the workshop.
Yes, ma'am.
So is
After the
this,
workshop, then the advertisement.
Well,
we
so
just
is this being
finalized.
placed on the agenda now for advertisement? Because usually there's advertisement.
Yes, ma'am.
in-
This will be tonight, once it's voted on. If it passes, then it will go into an advertisement period
Okay,
after
that's
tonight.
what I want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
know, because my questions might require more than the 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
But just so that everyone would know where I'm coming from with my questions are based on the fact that what looks logical on paper when you're dealing with students, with children, does not always make sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my questions are, let me use my glasses here. Why are we changing the types and requirements for honor roll? We are adding a designation of weighted. In all of my almost 50 years in this district, we've never used the weighted designation for eligibility for honor roll. That comes into play when you have class ranking and you're determining your Val and your Sal and your high honor and honor graduates. So you're leaving a whole 90% of your population out with adding that.
Ms. Hubbard, you are at 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. And my other concern was with the promotion requirements. And that again is when you're dealing with human beings. It's a 1.0, a 1.5 to be promoted from 9th to 10th grade. If a child is in the 9th grade and you allow them to promote to the 10th grade at that 1.0, it is very difficult for them to climb back up to the 2.0 that's required for graduation.
Okay. You are now at your 3 minutes, Ms. Hubbard.
Okay, so now,
I will, if you can finish, I will grant you 1 additional minute if you can get it.
okay.
Well, anyway, during public hearing, all these, there's no time
That's,
limit on public hearing.
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Okay,
yeah.
you're- Yes, ma'am. You are,
That's
you,
fine.
No
That's
and
fine.
I appreciate you coming and
Yes.
sharing your concerns
Yes.
as an educator. And
Yeah, remember that we're dealing with human beings.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. We have item 4.1 minutes, and then we have moved 4.2 to the items for individual consideration, and we are going to have item 4.3, the field trip request and staff travel. Dr. Pickles, would you like to?
Go over the trips.
Yes, ma'am.
So we had one field trip from our high school robotics team. And then there's several staff travel, one for our transportation supervisor to go to a mid-year meeting. Then there's one of our staffing specialists to go to the CARD conference, and that will come from ESE. And then there is a VEX robotics teacher orientation, and that's free of charge for them to attend. And then we have the National School Board Association convention. So not knowing which school board members might want to go, I just listed it as myself and the school board members. That will come from our Title II. And then the National Superintendent Association meeting, and that will come from Title II. So everything is either free, reimbursed, or coming from grants.
Okay. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Gibson and a second by Ms. Higgins to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, I will now call for a vote to approve the consent agenda items as presented. All in favor? 5-0, Ms. Tammy, to approve the consent agenda. We will now move to items for individual consideration. We will start with item number 5.5, the conveyance of properties. Dr. Pickles.
So there, late last minute, there have been some changes going back and forth with both entities that are acquiring the properties. So we'll start with Mr. Reeves.
Okay.
And you each have an email that was sent this afternoon with the concerns from the town of Greenville.
Okay.
So we need to direct Mr. Reeves how to address each of those.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, this is the email that everybody's got a copy of. And so we got this today with the, they're asking for some changes to the provisions of the contract. I've looked at it briefly. I hadn't had a chance to really digest it, but nothing I saw in there seemed way out of bounds. and the superintendent had contacted the insurance company, and we don't have to close and convey title before the end of the year. So what I would think would probably be the best thing, so that I can get with Mr. Reed, their attorney, and work out some language, is if we could maybe reschedule this to the February 2 meeting.
Okay.
That gives us some, because after about now, you don't get anything done, over the holidays. But then that would allow us to bounce some language back and forth. And also, the town of Greenville was saying that they were having some issues trying to work out their insurance.
Okay.
And I say issues, I think they were trying to get specifics and, that kind of stuff. And that would give them time to do that. We certainly, don't want to convey property to the town if they haven't worked out their insurance and, that kind of thing. So that would be my recommendation. I know Mr. Cornegay's here, he may want to, I don't know if that's acceptable to Mr. Cornegay.
Would you like to come up and speak on any of that on behalf of the town? Thank you so much.
Good evening, board. How you doing?
You're doing well. Thank you for coming.
Thank you all so much for entertaining us, and we appreciate you all working with us. Over the past 2 or so weeks, our attorney's been out, so we've been working with him to try to get some of these things remedied. But we did have a few concerns you see in my email there, so I appreciate you. I think that timeline helps us to work through a few nips and buts. Our insurance did have a number of questions, of course, with the property being accepted as is in the contract. They wanted to make sure that we know what we're getting ourselves into, and so we want to make sure those things are looked at. But I did have a number of concerns just based off of some of the discussions that we've had before and the proposal that we presented. Some of the stipulations will kind of prohibit us from doing some of the things we want to do. So I would really appreciate you all just take a look at that. And we want to make sure that this is an opportunity for us to make sure this is a resource for the entire county. And with this being a grassroots effort, it's going to take us a bit of time to get things together. So you'll see a number of things in my email there, but always happy to share any further information and willing to chat with you all at any other time as well.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank y'all.
All right, are we going to move along with Lee and Pinetta Elementary?
But before we do that, let me,
Okay.
so if it's okay with you, I'll revise the contract, take my best shot at the language that they've requested. I'll send that to Mr. Reed, and who is the town of Greenville attorney, and we can kind of start doing that back and forth, and then that way we'll have something for y'all to vote on, like I say, by the February 2 meeting.
Oh,
Okay.
Ryan's got his hand.
There was just one more thing. I think it was noted in my email, but the contract has been shared with our board.
Okay.
But tonight is the first time we'll be able to discuss it together as a whole. So
Okay.
of course it will be this iteration, but we may have a few more concerns, so we will try to make sure that those are shared with you all as soon as possible.
Okay.
And I think that's the key. Let's kind of bounce language
Yeah,
back and forth,
I
where
agree.
we've got a contract that staff can all agree to present back to the board.
Definitely, yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Reeves, is that all? you
That's all I have, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, so let's move along if we can.
We have Ms. Logan now.
Ms. Logan, if you will, I will invite you to speak.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair. Good evening, board members. Lee and Pinetta are in a similar posture. If you look at the materials in front of you, you should have 2 contracts. The first, the one on top, is the original contract that was presented to their council. The second are some revisions that were sent back today by their council. And so just hoping to get some guidance from you guys on a couple things as well. The first is, and I think this has been clarified, but since I've got you, I'll ask anyway. I understand there was discussion at one point about the parcel has been divided essentially in 3 pieces. The third parcel, what's labeled as parcel 3 on the survey, is timberland. And just wanted to make sure that the board was in fact in favor of including that as part of the transaction and not retaining that. Is that?
Yes,
That's correct.
that was the
Okay.
agreement.
Yes.
Okay, so if you will turn to page 6 of both contracts, and that probably provides you the best side-by-side comparison. This section contains several restrictions that we had spoken about when I was here last. The first is obviously a prohibition on using the property for other education uses, charter schools, technical schools, things like that. I think we're close on that. Again, we wanted to obviously include their ability to offer internships, apprenticeships, the things that we spoke about. So I think we're close on 8.1.
Okay.
8.2 was a restriction that prevented Mr. Kellett and his LLC from selling the property for 30 years. And I know we had talked about basically a right of first refusal, and the idea being, obviously, we didn't want a short-term turnover for them to get the property and profit or benefit in a short-term circumstance. What they have proposed in response, and I wanted to get some direction on, was basically no agreement to, certainly a deed restriction that would prevent them from selling, but basically in the event that they sold within 3 years, they would pay the board 25% of the net gain from the property. So wanted to see if that was something the board would be amenable to, or if we needed to kind of figure something else out in response.
Did you say net gain?
Net gain, and the idea being the net proceeds minus the buyer's basis in the property, which includes capital investments and the money they're going to put into
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Yes. So that's what they have proposed. We can obviously go back, but that's where we stand currently.
All right, so any board members that would like to comment on that?
I would like to recommend that we add this to the workshop tomorrow if possible,
Okay.
because I can tell you I'm going to have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Please and thank you.
Okay.
Because the whole point of that was, if we wanted to make money, we could just sell
So
them.
that ourselves.
Exactly. So we're not giving them away for people to go profit. So-
Exactly. They'll sell it for $1 billion. They're gonna make $1 billion if off the property. We got people right here in this town, who could purchase this land and, start something up instead of giving it away to unknowns.
Okay. Okay.
Moving on, if you look at the original contract, 8.3 was a long-term lease restriction, and the idea being similar, that they can't, essentially take over the property and lease to someone for more than 1 year was the restriction that we had put in. They've pushed back on that, suggesting that to get the type of investments and structure that they want to put in there, they're going to require more than a year. People are going to they're not going to invest that type of money if they only get a year's worth lease out of it. So we have currently, the draft before you removes that paragraph in its entirety, but again, wanted to bring that to your attention.
Any comments on the?
So I would like, the items, item one, number one, how many you have, 2?
One,
three.
2, I've got a couple, 3, 4.
Will you list those 4 items?
I will. So the first was the conveyance restriction that prohibits them from selling, long-term lease restriction, insurance restriction, and finally the maintenance restriction.
Okay, what is the holdup with the insurance?
That basically, as drafted, it requires them to have certain amounts and types of insurance for the next 30 years as a deed restriction. They are suggesting, obviously, they're going to insure the property, and they're happy to provide us with evidence of that at closing. But they just felt like 30 years of dictating what insurance they hold, the types, the amounts, all those types of things was unfair, given that it was a sale versus a lease.
And number 2 was long-term what?
Long-term lease, more than a year.
Got it.
Okay, and what is their concern with the
Conveyance of the
maintenance?
property, long-term lease, insurance, and maintenance.
The long-term lease, she said that it's going to be hard for, and you
I
can.
didn't ask that. I
Okay,
asked
all
what
I'm
were the
asking is
concerns with
other
maintenance.
items
So-
that you all are requesting that we look at.
Right, so
So that's 4 of them.
4 items,
Okay.
that's it. And then the maintenance, in response to your question, is, for starters, it's difficult to draft maintenance restrictions, what that should look like and how that's measured. And so we did our best to attempt that. Their response to that is, obviously, they're going to keep the property up, not let it be blighted. And in that regard, they felt like them satisfying local codes, ordinances, statutes would provide for a specific level of maintenance, but to dictate how tall the grass is or how many weeds are in what area, they felt
So
was
they're
just
asking for it to be removed?
correct.
Oh, that's what I meant.
So those are really the items for your consideration. Just one final thing, we had originally, because of the quick timeline, suggested that there would be no title search, title insurance policy. They have requested the ability to do title work. They are working on that currently. But again, that would draw this out longer than the end of the year, which I don't think is a problem, given the suggestions about insurance and finalizing the contract.
So can we do the same thing with February, with that contract?
I believe
As we're
so.
doing with the town of Greenville?
Yes, ma'am.
If I may, I believe the only thing is if we could get all this settled, I would like to put this one on January, so, because he
okay.
has wanted to go ahead and take possession of a lead.
Okay. All right.
And so I understand you'll workshop that and we'll circle back. Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I guess I need a motion to move those to the, or no?
You can certainly do that by consensus of the
Okay,
board, you just
okay.
reschedule.
Okay. Do I have a consensus from the board to reschedule the conveyance of properties, the Greenville property to the February meeting and Lee and Pinetta to the January meeting?
I agree.
Yes, what date in January?
What is that date?
It's January 12th.
12th.
January
okay.
12th?
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you all very much. All right, we're gonna move on.
No.
We're gonna go to 5.1, the Highlands, and Dr. Pickles is gonna present
Yes,
this.
so after hearing everything and discussing in workshop and past meetings, I know it is the consensus of the board that they had a lot of concerns with this. So based on hearing everything, especially in our last workshop, my recommendation would be not to enter into the Highlands agreement.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to accept the recommendation from Dr. Pickles to not enter into the agreement with Highlands?
I move with Dr. Pickles' recommendation to not enter into the Highlands Madison County School District.
I second. All right, I have a motion by Ms. Gibson and a second by Ms. Knight to accept the recommendation of Dr. Pickles to not enter into a contract with Highlands. All in or any discussion on that? Anyone else? All in favor? 5-0. Ms. Tammy? We're going to move on to 5.2, the student progression plan. And we will welcome Dr. Holmes to present. Good afternoon.
evening.
Would you like me to follow the same format as you, or is there specific questions that you would like for me to address?
I think that question was advertisement, because you gave us a good, the one that you gave us in the beginning.
Yes.
And those questions that you heard and when we workshop it, and you'll be in that workshop, so.
I have no further questions
Me either.
currently for you, Dr. Holmes. I don't know if any of my other board members do currently.
Until the workshop,
Okay.
and then what comes out of that.
The only thing I have is when it was talking about the makeup work. You know, 75, if they make it up, they can make up to, on an unexcused absence, they can make up to a 75. And right now it's a 50. I don't know, but I think 70, this is me, I think 75 may be too high because they making up, they got an unexcused absence, one thing, and then they making up work. I just see, I think, I don't want to get it too low either now because I want to make sure that, you know, it happens, but I don't think making a C, if they make it up, they could basically save their parent notes and not have them and make up the work and still pass. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I just think,
Workshop.
Yeah.
Mr. Carroll, if you will allow, I will ask that, I'm going to entertain a motion to go ahead with this, and then we will discuss that moving forward, because Ms. Gibson has some things that she's going to share, if you don't mind. So I will now entertain a motion to move forward, and then we will discuss it and take a vote, if that's okay with you. So do I have a motion to move forward with the student progression plan advertisement?
Madam Chair, I move that we move forward with the
Okay.
student progression
so
plan.
this is the
All
advertising.
This
these
is
things
just-
can come out in the
Oh, okay,
workshop.
I got
Right,
it.
right, okay. Do I have
second.
okay, so I have a second by Ms. Knight. Now I will call for discussion, and if you have anything else, you're welcome to
No,
speak
I
up.
don't
Miss-
have anything else.
Ms. Gibson has agreed, she's going to share some current concerns.
I think this is what Mr. Carroll was referring to, the email that you received this afternoon? Mr.
Yes.
Carroll, okay, this is the email. Dear Madison County School Board members, as educators of Madison County High School, we would like to express concern regarding the recent proposal outlined in the district pupil progression plan to allow students to earn a maximum grade of 75 for work made up following unexcused absences. This contrasts with the guidelines currently in place related to makeup work extracted from the Madison County High School Faculty Handbook. And this is how it is right now, makeup work. Students will complete makeup work within 5 days of returning to school from an excused absence. The student will receive a 0 for any missed work until it has been completed. When work has been turned in, the 0 will be replaced with the grade earned on the assignment if the absence was excused. If the absence was not excused, the student can turn in the assignment for a grade no higher than a 50. If a student does not turn in an assignment, please enter this into the notes with the assignment grade. Please make assignments available for students to access in your classroom and electronically via the Google Classroom Canvas. We believe the 50% policy more effectively supports student responsibility, maintains instructional integrity, and ensures accurate grading practices. First, a 75% ceiling does not create a meaningful consequence and fails to adequately convey the seriousness of an unexcused absence. Across the country, districts that implemented a 75% penalty report little or no improvement in attendance behavior because the academic consequence is, now I'm reading this from my phone, that's why is too minimal to influence decision-making. In contrast, 50% provides a clear boundary that reinforces attendance expectations while still allowing students an opportunity to recover academically. Secondly, research-based grading practices support a 50% minimum as opposed to 75%. Leading grading experts emphasize that a minimum failing grade of around 50% corrects mathematical distortions caused by zeros. However, raising the floor to 75% artificially inflates grades and inaccurately represents mastery. A 50% score better preserves the integrity of the grading scale, avoiding grade inflation while still establishing a fair and recoverable academic pathway. Third, research indicates that learning mastery is misrepresented at 75%. Students who miss the instructional components tied to the assignment, such as direct teaching, guided practice, and group work, have not demonstrated the same level of learning as students present for instruction. Awarding up to 75% overstates the level of mastery attained through makeup work completed outside the classroom environment. A 50% cap more accurately reflects the reduced learning opportunity inherent in an unexcused absence.
Ms. Fitch, who you say this came
So-
from?
This came from teachers at the high school.
So this,
Okay, but let me just ask this. It's a process. Teachers at the high school don't bring this directly to the board. It's a process that they bring it to you and her. See, it's not supposed to be brought directly to the board until that process has been satisfied. So now, if they've researched this so well, they need to be at the workshop so that they can tell us there's concerns, those concerns in there. And see, they're jumping ahead of the gun. They're shooting the gun when the gun doesn't need to be shot. But all this needs to be discussed in a workshop. Don't bring it to me as a board member if you've not presented it to the person who's doing it and to the superintendent, so the superintendent can advise us, and then we workshop on it and have these people here, because they're trying to do that job. And, okay, but any names signed? Did they sign any names? And what I'm
Yes,
saying, are we
they
gonna
signed
hold
them.
these teachers to the same standard that they're trying to hold these children? You know, when they miss all these days out of school. And when they miss the days out of school and they're not teaching the children, they're not there to teach the children, and then subs are teaching the children, so the children are not being educated. And then there are so many problems at home, mental health problems, home life problems. But all I want to do is the staff going to be held to the same accountability as those children when they miss school And it's been a lot of days staff has been missing school.
Thank you, Ms. Hagan. With that email was sent this morning by our teachers.
But see, and that's
And
anonymous.
Ms. Hagan,
And we don't
it's
address
not
anonymous stuff.
it's not
But
anonymous.
we have name signed.
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And if I may, I think that we have two issues here. You have the student progression plan, which is the actual approved document, guiding document. And then you have a a school handbook that should be in line
And
with
it's
the.
not. Correct.
Now, prior to the language being added, the original plan had no threshold. So it could, so therefore I can understand at that particular time, whatever year that happened, they chose to add additional guidance to add some structure. But I would be more than willing to have a discussion and a conversation with anyone regarding that. I reached out to the schools, to the principals, through the principals, several times asking for
Feedback.
information and feedback prior to us drafting, sitting around the table and drafting and going, all the feedback that we received to draft that document. What you see before you. So it was not, I want to first clarify, it was not an independent decision that was made to do that. It was a collaborative decision after much, and the principals were a part of that discussion as well. So I just wanted to have that stated on the record. But again, given this additional, because again, I was not aware of this language that was in the high school handbook. Again, we know that there's a new principal there, so again, she may not know the historical background behind that document as well. So again, I would welcome the opportunity to review that document and further that discussion.
So my question for you, with that, did you meet with the principal and teachers, or did she consult with teachers and then meet with you?
The original document was sent to the principals. I always communicate through the principals. I never send
That's what you
anything
do.
out directly to
the teachers.
The teachers. So I advise them that, hey, we're in the process of looking at revisions to the student progression plan. Here's the proposed document. Please review this with your staff. And then we brought through the principals, I relied on them to bring me any type of feedback that they would have received to be a part of that discussion.
Okay,
They're
Dr.
overstepping
Pickles,
their boundaries.
if I may,
Well,
real
they had a
quick.
chance to
Dr.
respond.
Pickles, can we please confirm that, it seems like the issue is at the high school. Can we please confirm that the high school principal has consulted with her staff on this? Because they need to be involved in this process if they were not.
And these are long-term educators right here. These are
Absolutely,
not
they
people
are.
that started yesterday or last year.
And I don't want you to feel like you are not
No.
involved in this.
I know where that came.
But there is
I
a
was-
process though, and
I understand where the
there's a process
50%
for
came in
everything.
and all
We
of
don't
that.
just jump the gun, there's a process.
I agree, and I want to make sure that was followed at the school level, that the principal
And she
involved her
doesn't go
staff.
to the staff and ask, she gives it to the principals.
Okay, all right, we're gonna,
If I,
Can I ask?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Holmes, you said, that was in the student handbook, the 50%,
That was what she just stated. It came from the Madison County High School
the handbook?
student handbook.
school handbooks.
it's the faculty handbook, correct?
Well, I want to clear up my
From the
stance
school
on this. I don't want kids to fail, but, and I guess we still have Ds, when I came from
Yes.
Georgia, they didn't have no D up there. There was a C and after that you fail.
Well,
But,
Came on
if we got Ds, maybe we could split, I don't want them to fail, I want them to have an opportunity. Because, a zero don't give you an opportunity.
And-
I mean, you flat don't have one.
I totally agree, and I understand it. And again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just
Right.
want to make sure that we're providing opportunities for
Right.
children to recover.
Exactly.
And I understand where the 50% came from, because that was in 2004, 2005, when SREB published that information, in which it was recommended that students be not given zeros, that they should be given a grade no less than 50.
Right.
Now, there's also research on both sides that says, some that say, grades are not determining. There's much research now that says school grading is not the be-all to end-all of why kids are missing school. So, but again, if we're looking at it from this generation, because again, that's some considerable time, this generation is, there's a lot more things that motivate them more so than,
I was gonna say, I think, we're trusting our educators to do their job. And we have to also trust that they know their students and they understand that sometimes there may be circumstances that cannot be helped. So, there may not be a black and white answer for this. I can say, there may be students that have things going on at home that they can't help that they're not at school. It may need to be more of a case-by-case basis and trust our educators to do their jobs correctly.
and I also, from just discussions since I've heard this issue coming about, I think some of the issue also is regarding to whether or not students are absent, or whether or not there's a difference between whether it was a suspension or whether
Chronic.
for discipline, or if it's an absent problem. Because again, a lot of times, as you just stated, there are a lot of other entities that go into why a
Right.
child is absent from
Right.
school, and not just, but again,
Right.
so maybe we need to add some additional clarity regarding suspension versus,
I would say
other
that
circumstances.
I would encourage this board that we really do a deep dive into this particular portion of the progression plan, because as someone, I've been in the classroom, and I know there are students that sometimes they have circumstances that as an adult have never dealt with
That's
at
right.
home. So we need to really allow for those circumstances and for the teachers to allow, to trust them and their judgment based off of their abilities to do their job.
And what I want to say, if a child can make up that work, there's something that limited that child from passing in the classroom. If you're giving that child makeup work, and that child can complete that makeup work, hey, something's wrong here. So that child should have that opportunity to complete that makeup work. We don't want to dumb down and not have people graduating, our children graduating from school.
and also, the human element as well. There does need to be a guideline, because then that creates a standard. So therefore, we minimize, we're all human, and we all have closer relationships with some students than we do others. So we want to make sure that what we're doing is fair and equitable across the board.
I agree.
So that's, I think, where we might need to look at some more specificity to the language, and possibly even some more, drill down a little bit further and be a lot more specific as to what that would require.
Yes, I concur, because, again, one of our most valuable resources is sitting right behind you. I
Absolutely.
believe she's still here, I can't see. But for her to come up with some of the very similar concerns and address them here, really, it confirms for me that she wasn't asked. And she has been an educator in this district for decades. And that needs to be taken into consideration. She's still in the classroom. And so, I don't know, are we on a time restriction for this, or can we kick this to tomorrow's workshop so that we can wrap it up as well?
We need to do the workshop, and listen, let me just ask, if you talk about Gwen Hubbard, she out there in the office, was she gonna be in the classroom tomorrow, so will she be able to attend the
Yeah.
I was
workshop
gonna
tomorrow?
That's the
say,
thing.
our workshop is at
Is
8:30
that
in the
what
morning.
you're talking about?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Well, then she should give,
I can't
be
tell
given
if
the
she's still sitting
opportunity
She
there.
is.
to attend this
Still there.
workshop.
Yes.
Then she out the classroom and the children ain't learning.
Well, and then the teachers that sent this email will also be teaching tomorrow morning.
Well, if you like, I
Can
can
we
create
do
a
it
Google
tomorrow?
form, and have the teachers provide their specific feedback that will come to a document that I can then download as
That would
Excel
be,
file.
that would be
Yes.
wonderful.
And then they will have an opportunity to voice their concerns.
That's,
But
to
Madam
share.
Chair,
Ma'am.
and Madam, and the Superintendent, we really do need Ms. Hubbard here at workshop in the morning. So if that could be worked out, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
we need to get a sub for you, Ms. Hubbard. We do really value your feedback and appreciate 8:30.
That's why I was asking my first question, was where in this process are we? Because I know that there will be an opportunity
Yes, ma'am.
for me to ask my question during the public hearing.
It's at 8:30 in the morning.
Not if we workshop.
And Dr. Wells,
Here.
I do want to acknowledge the hard work that you are putting into this. And there have been a lot of very positive changes that you
Yes.
have implemented in this. And so I don't want to dismiss that or, let that get muddied in the water here. Because, there might be one or two little things that we need to tweak, but you have really worked hard on putting
Exactly.
some accountability and some uniformity in place. So I don't want that to get lost in the shuffle. I just, we do appreciate the work that you're putting into this.
I
Thank
agree.
you, I appreciate
I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from this, so thank you for that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you vote, if I may, would someone, if you would please forward the copy of the email because I did not receive it. So if you can send it, forward it to me and Dr. Holmes so we can
That's what I'm saying,
read
that process
everything.
has been overlooked. You
Well-
don't do that.
I digress. Thank you so much. Okay, so what is the pleasure of this board? Are we going to move forward? Would you like to schedule an additional workshop? Are we going to workshop this in the morning? Or do we
I mean, we can
advertise?
advertise it like it is, can't we? And we're gonna,
Well, see,
that
but
don't
if
mean we
we
vote
Well-
on it.
If there are any
And then they
changes,
got-
We have to re-advertise.
If we have to re-advertise.
Right.
We need to get it right before we advertise,
That's
yes.
exactly.
Because we're not here to waste money.
Right.
Everything that we do costs money. And, there's no point in advertising it if we know that we're probably going to implement a few changes on there.
changes.
We have people here that are speaking, and we have teachers who are speaking, and it's a very similar trend. So it's something that we need to sit down and we need to discuss before we advertise it.
I
Even
agree.
after that, public workshop, there might be some changes. Public input. After the workshop and public input.
So let's postpone this until the January
Okay.
workshop.
Okay.
That will give Dr. Holmes time to
Get feedback.
send the Google form out
That
to
will go
get
out
additional
tonight.
feedback.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
But
is
you
this-
might not have anything before the
Yeah, but it will
So
go
we're
out
not gonna
tonight.
put this on the workshop tomorrow.
No.
We'll
Not
do
for
the
the
January
board.
workshop.
We'll do it in
Good.
January.
Okay, what date will that be?
That is the third Tuesday, so that should be the 27th.
January 27th?
Wait a minute, I've missed a
Hang on,
week.
let's see.
That's a
No, I've missed a
workshop.
week.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm gonna look at the
28th.
calendar on
19th, maybe 21st.
Should be the 20th.
the 20th.
The 20th? Okay.
For some reason, my calendar
Yeah, the
does not
20th.
show the
I'll bring
whole
your
first
calendar,
week of January.
All right.
But we still having a workshop in the morning.
Yes,
In the
ma'am.
morning, yes,
We
ma'am.
That's
will.
that's an agenda
You
review.
gotta get up,
All right.
sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Holmes.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you
All
for
right.
sending
We
that on
appreciate you.
out tonight.
All right. We are going to move on to item 5.3, personnel changes. Walter Coates, thank you for coming.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Doing well, how are you?
We have a couple items to propose on the personnel side. The first being transfer of sick leave into the district, 30.25 hours. And I'm sure y'all know, but just to remind you, that doesn't mean they immediately get credited
Right.
with 30.25 hours. They earn an hour for every hour they earn under our policy. So those hours are banked, and as they earn their hours working with us, they get an hour from their bank. And we'd like to propose acceptance of that.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the sick leave transfer request?
I move to approve the sick leave request.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Carroll and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the sick leave transfer request. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? 5-0, Ms. Tammy. Okay, we will move along to personnel changes.
Have just a few personnel changes for this board meeting to propose. We have 3 paraprofessionals at the central school. These are non-instructional employee recommendations. And then we have a telecom specialist, IT, essentially an assistant network manager on our IT side to propose. And those are the 4 items on our personnel changes for your consideration.
If I may, the IT will be located at the central school because we have Miss Michelle at the high school.
Do Do I have a motion to approve our personnel changes?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the personnel changes.
Okay.
Second.
God bless you. I have a motion by Ms. Knight, a second by Ms. Gibson to approve the personnel changes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? 5-0. Ms. Tammy? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
We will move to item 5.4, behavior support services.
This contract before you is for our behavioral services for our ESC students. This is replacing a previous agreement that I canceled the contract with the vendor due to some other issues. So this one is actually replacing that. I can tell you the positive behavior support. They also work in our sister district, so they work in Taylor County. So I will be happy to try to answer any other questions as far as this goes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the behavior support services?
I move to approve the behavior support services.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Carroll, a second by Ms. Hagan to approve the behavior support services. Do we have any discussion?
I've got some concerns about this.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at how much it's going to cost for one thing, and is this because of disruptive children, or, I mean, what is the reason for having it?
So at times they're doing the FBAs for our students that or possibly need that FBA, the behavior assessment. And then they will also, the other big piece is providing training for our teachers as directed.
Is it also true that a lot of our students came from Greenville and they needed these teachers and people need these directions because our children from Greenville, they're the ones who needed certified teachers and stuff. Remember the problem that was with the Greenville school. And this is in conjunction and will support that. And we'll consolidate it now. So we got to get all these children up to par with everything.
Okay, I'm still talking about behavior, though. This is for special needs. All right, I'm looking like, for instance, if they're there a full day, it's $1,500, which means if they're there for a week, it's $7,500. I mean, it's a lot of, is there a ceiling to this, or, I mean, is the sky the limit, or, I mean, what?
So these are the same rates that Taylor County had. They are honoring all the same rates. They will not be there every single day.
I hope not,
So-
at this rate.
No, they
The
will not be
children are
there.
generating the money.
They,
So the
well,
money should
this
be
is-
spent on the children.
It
And
does-
the ESC children generate more money than any student.
So when we,
So this money should be spent on them.
it's IDEA and
Okay,
Medicaid
right.
reimbursed.
Okay,
so
well,
we
I
have to
know, but
have
I'm,
somebody do these things. This is just replacing our prior approved
okay,
agreement.
so it's, all
That we
right,
approved in June. So this is replacing that one.
replacing that. Oh, it just was a lot of, I just didn't know if this would be serving the school, or just, you said staff for training. I see there's, teachers will be trained on this. Would that be the special ed teachers or all the teachers, or
Well, more our ESC
ESE?
teachers. That'll be
Okay,
the
well, I just
primary
wanted
focus.
information. I mean, this is, when we're approving these things, it's a lot of money. No matter who's paying for it, it's still a lot of
Because
money.
once upon a time, those children in Greenville were not getting those services. They were supposed to get those services, ESC services. They were not testing time enough, so many children fell through the cracks. And now these children are coming right over here to the central school where we have consolidated. And they need it. And it's more than ever who needs it now.
Well, I was addressing the behavior. That's what I was,
But
you
you
know.
know, ESC children, it's a different formula for their behavior than for the other behaviors. It's a different formula because they have, I won't say, they have some type of problem, something, autistic or anything like that. So,
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the behavior support services? Show of hands, please. All opposed? 5-0. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to superintendent items.
What are we-
No, or
5.6.
5.6.
Oh, you're right. You did say,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, I was
I'm
gonna say, we
sorry,
haven't
Ms.
done
Gibson.
that.
I have it on here, but I'm trying to move us along a little
Okay.
faster. All right, we're gonna go to curriculum resources. We're gonna invite Dr. Holmes back to the podium. trying to get us out of here.
It is Monday Night Football.
So we have a quote for Renaissance and Edify Education Services. I am going to entertain a motion to approve the curriculum resources.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the curriculum resources.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan, and now I will call for any discussion.
Yes, just give me an explanation of this area, please, the Renaissance.
Okay, the Renaissance is, we currently have a contract with Renaissance now for our STAR and the like. They also have a component which is called Nearpod. It is an instructional tool that is used during tier instruction. Specifically, what the program does is it addresses, it's a supplemental resource to strengthen standards-based instruction. It's a method of instructional delivery that focuses on standards-based instruction. It provides a mechanism for teachers to use it within the program. It requires them to, they can have automatic assessments where they can be assessing students, like giving them questions, and it gives them feedback right away during their instruction, so they're able to modify or move to a different point if they see right immediately that students are not getting it. And it can be used across all grade, all subjects for English, math, science, and social studies. That's one component. It also has, when we are looking at intervention and we are looking at providing students with additional support in small group, there are also prepackaged lessons that are standards aligned with the best standards that teachers can, that are ready-made. The PowerPoints, everything are already there. The resources, the tools, the questions, everything is right there. So it minimizes the additional work that teachers would have to do with an approved resource, that they can then pull that lesson based on whatever standard the students are struggling with, provide them that immediate remediation in small group without the barrier of having to create it all for themselves. And again, it's also a program that is uniform K through 12. So that also helps us, because again, a lot of things, what I'm trying to do with any of the curriculum resources that I bring to you is I'm trying to find things that we can streamline across the board. Having only 2 schools, it just makes for a much more fluid transition. So if, again, the kids are using it in K through 8, they get to the high school, they're already using it, it just lessens the learning curve. And plus, it allows us to minimize the number of different things we're using for different grade levels to provide more consistency. That helps with us when we're able to provide professional development. We've got one thing that we can provide professional development on, and it just makes it much easier for the teachers to provide that instruction and receive that real-time feedback, so that we can make sure that we don't have to wait for a PM or a unit test. The teachers can get real in-time feedback as they're providing instruction. And it also works with our current core curriculums. They're able to pull that information into those presentations as well, because they work with all of the major vendors, all of the products that we have, so they're able to pull that in so they can combine those things and have one thing that they're using to teach their classes. And it's very highly engaging for students, because again, the on-time, real-time polls and things that the kids can just answer just from their laptop, or even if we're allowing them to use their phones for instructional purposes to answer questions, it just makes for a much more engaging learning experience for the teacher and the students.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You said it's an instructional tool, right? Okay, and you might have answered one of my questions. It's connected to the core curriculum.
The core
All right,
curriculum
all right.
can be connected to it, yes.
All right, is this going to be mandatory, or are they going to have a choice whether to use it, or what? How do you?
This will not replace our core curriculum.
No, it won't.
No, ma'am.
No.
This is a supplemental resource that will be available to the teachers.
Okay.
So again, there's still going to be, and I've also, if approved, I've already working on implementation guidelines to give to the principals, so that they can share with their faculty what the expectations on how much this will be used. There's also a tool, we have a district dashboard where I can monitor, Dr. Pickles can monitor, the principals can monitor how much time they're spending on the supplemental activities versus how much time they're using on core. So again, if we see an indication that a teacher is over-relying on this tool rather than the core, then we have the data for the principals to have that conversation.
Okay, because I've requested all the programs and all the supplements that we use, because you wonder, are they being, well, let's say, we hope they're being used, because this costs money, and this is
Yes,
what
it
we're in
does.
charge of right here. And so I was just wondering, is this going to be another one of those things that might get used and it might not, and is it mandatory, or could I do it, or don't want to do it, or, okay.
This is one of those things that, as I'm, again, coming in, I see a need for a lot of flow charts and documentation on how to implement things. So as I'm moving forward, when we come out with instructional frameworks, all of this information was shared and the teachers will be trained. Again, it's hard to do it now because, again, the train had already left the station when I got here. But again, before we pull out of the depot in August, the teachers, I already have a full slate of training plans on curriculum frameworks, proper implementation of instructional models that will teach them how to embed all of these things, so we will have a much more robust, rigorous instructional format moving forward.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now,
So I would just like to clarify on the Edify contract, it does give an option of a 1 or a 2-year contract. It doesn't look like there is a savings in order to, to commit to 2 years. And since you have the tool to track,
Anytime they send you contracts, they always send you multiple years, but my recommendation would be just for the 1 year.
Okay.
And the reason behind that is, again, coming in, having to try and piece things together, I have been unable to locate the resources and materials that were utilized previously for third grade good cause promotion. So again, being that time is of the essence, because this is something we need to really put into place beginning in January to start building those portfolios for students. And again, looking at our PM data, there's going to be a need for good cause. So that they're just going to help us expedite it. They are going to write specific. They partner with several of the major districts down south. They write their whole portfolio. It comes with data tracking sheets, the whole 9. So the teachers will have to create anything. I would just give it to them, give them the training, the timeline for when these things are supposed to be done, and it just needs to be done, and it's all packaged, and we won't have to worry about any problems with the state if they were to review our third grade promotion, good cause promotion.
okay, I noticed this began on the 15th, that's today, okay, that's all right. I did some reading on this about the portfolio for this. I know only certain students would be eligible for this.
Correct.
And who would be doing that? Would you be in charge of that, the portfolios?
So I worked in conjunction with the coach at Central School, because that's who with Miss Regina McDaniel, and the third grade teachers, because that's pretty much who all it's going to be. So as we are looking at our PM2 data right now, we're doing projections on which students we think are going to require that portfolio, because which ones we think may not pass the state assessment, and then we will start preparing those students, because they have to do so many what we call cold lessons, where we have to give it to them, and it has to be standards aligned, it has to be on grade level without any instruction, and then based on that, we provide the remediation to show that we have worked with those students on those skills, so that again, if they are unsuccessful with the alternative assessment at the end of third grade reading camp in the summer, we can use that in conjunction with the portfolio as grounds for good cause promotion, as long as they participate.
and is this a tool that the teachers will be using when they're doing intervention with the students?
For those specific identified
for these
students.
kids?
Yes, so it will come with there'll be a whole handbook. You'll find I don't give anything without a bunch of instructions. There will be a whole handbook that will go with it with specific instructions, dates when these lessons are to be presented to those students in small group, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
Have I answered all your questions, Ms. Gibson?
Yes, I think you have. I don't know if I'm totally convinced, but I mean, you've answered my questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, can I type up?
Absolutely.
I think it's my understanding.
Mr. Copeland, I'm sorry, I'm going to have you come to the microphone, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was going to let you know that it's my understanding the expenditures have traditionally been grant funded, so they're not coming through our general funds.
Thank you, that's good
And
news.
again, we need to be careful of our money regardless
Yeah.
of how it's generated, but I did want to let you know that.
That, yeah,
And we do want to spend all this grant money, because if we do not, they're going to take it and lower the grant the next year. So we need to spend all this grant money on good programs.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's good news, Mr. Copeland.
And this is also a requirement as part of our district continuity reading plan that we
No.
have to submit, which comes with the budget for that. So we have to, it has to.
Have to use it, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate you
Copeland.
guys.
Okay. All right, so
Okay.
we now, we have a motion.
Katie.
I need to amend my motion, please.
Okay.
I need to amend to accept with the Edify contract to be 1 year.
Okay,
My second stands.
okay. I have a motion by Ms. Knight and a second by Ms. Hagan to approve item number 5.6, curriculum resources with the amendment of the Edify contract for that to be 1 year. Do I have any more discussion on that? All in favor? 5-0, Ms. Tammy. Okay. Now we will move to superintendent items.
So I'm up. So I'll start with the biggest thing. I do want to commend all of our finance staff and especially our payroll, Ms. Beth Williams, for working due diligently. This is the month we shift our salaries and implement and pay out our retro pay plus the raises. So it is not a bonus. It is actually built into their salary, so their salaries will go. So just like a beginning teacher goes from 45,000 to go to 47,500. So based on that salary schedule. So payroll will be Friday, and so everybody will have that. So if they have questions after that, we ask that they email payroll or you.
We have a central payroll catch-all box, and we're going to respond, but it's payroll@mcsbfl.
Can you say that in the microphone?
Yes, for anyone in the public listening, it's payroll@mcsbfl.us. If you have questions about your paychecks, please send an email directly to that email address.
And Mr. Copeland, is the school recognition money included?
School recognition has been.
That's already been paid.
Oh, they-
That one's already been
That's already
paid.
gone.
Okay, thank you.
So you're monitoring those, your emails every day?
Yes, ma'am. Those come to, I think, Bree, myself, Sandy Fletcher, and.
Okay. Because we don't want folks saying they sent emails and didn't get an answer.
No, and I don't like being centralized really on stuff that right now it is unnecessary.
So we will ask, if you will please, if you have questions concerning your paychecks or payroll, to please email that email address and be patient with our staff. They are working very hard. I know they are. They've worked all weekend to get this done for you guys. So,
And you say payroll going out Friday?
Friday.
Friday.
Yes, ma'am, the 19th. So that's the reason we need everybody to, if you have some concern, you don't think something's right, email that, and because we're fixing to be shut down for 2 weeks, we will address it in January. The other issue is we cannot run a separate payroll on Friday because you're already getting paid that day. So we are unable to run a second payroll if there is an error. So we will address them when we come back, but prior to the January payroll, so to be more like a mid. So if there's issues, we'll go back. Second, I wanted to advise you the Lee auction. Mr. Brandon Muggy is 100% complete with Lee. And it was around 57,000 was the total for that. And then we will have the Pinetta, in agreement with Mr. Kellett, we will have the Pinetta auction in January, and then we will have to do a final auction for Greenville. And I did speak to Mr. Cornegay, and so he was fine with that too, so that will wrap up everything at Greenville. So, and then we have already started looking at our PM2 data as students were testing, we were starting. I do have very raw numbers that I can share tomorrow. Just know that those numbers may change. So I can share that data tomorrow. And then last, based on the curriculum, so we do have a draft, so Dr. Holmes will add these two to our list so that you can look by grade band and see what they should be using core-wise, what this board has approved, plus any supplements that they can use. So we'll have that for tomorrow. And I think that's it.
Let's hold off on that just real quick. All right, Mr. Reeves, anything?
I just had two things. As you recall, in, I believe it was September, the board approved conveying the property to the credit union. And y'all have already done that. There's nothing else for the board to do. We need to get the deed signed and go ahead and record that. We said we'd record it about the 15th.
Okay.
And so we'd either get it signed this evening or tomorrow by the chair and the superintendent, and I can go record that. And then that'll be done. The other thing on the North Florida Child Development case, we had, remember we had filed a complaint and then we filed a motion for temporary injunction. The motion for temporary injunction, the point of that was to try to get them to leave immediately. We set that for a hearing. The earliest hearing time we could get was December 30, so we went ahead and set that. But in the meantime, I got with the attorney for the other side, and they went ahead and agreed that they didn't want to be in the central school after the break anyway. So we agreed to a stipulated temporary injunction that said that they would leave, they would cease operating on no later than the 19th, which is the last day of school anyway. And they believed they could have their stuff together and out by the 19th. They're going to make their best efforts to get out by the 19th. If they can't, though, they may come back on January 2nd and move out whatever might remain. So we agreed to that stipulated temporary injunction. I have sent that to the judge. I don't have a signed order back from the judge, but I don't have any reason to believe she wouldn't sign it. And so hopefully that, at least the part about getting them to vacate has been resolved.
Okay.
Now, if you recall, the issue was that there was recorded a notice of federal interest. We had reached out to the folks in Atlanta that run that agency. I've never gotten anything back. I've emailed them several times and re-emailed and re-emailed and called as well. Every time I call, I get the answer machine, then I re-email, hey, I just called, all that. So we'll keep doing that. But I mean, we were trying to get some answers on that grant as far as, and kind of I think the most important thing, the gist of the grant was, we're paying you this money, you need to use it for ESE. And certainly we've got lots of ESE things we can do with those rooms. I don't know though if that's a condition forever that we always have to, or at some point now, are they just our rooms and we get to do what we want? That's the kind of thing that we need to flesh out.
Okay. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
So we're going to get a little out of order. I'm going to hold off on our board member comments until the very end because I want to end this on a high note. We all have some staff shout outs that we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and invite Mr. Alford up. He has requested to speak on a non-agenda item. And I will go ahead and recognize you to speak, starting your timer now.
Good evening. My name is Bart Alford. I again would like to address a recent observed waste by the Madison County School Board. Starting back in the summer, a dumpster of books discovered at Greenville Elementary. Those books could have been used throughout the district, making class libraries for teachers who are without libraries. In most recently, the auctions. First at Greenville Elementary. As I walked through the school, I couldn't get over the material that could have been sent to Central to use, such as the ELA Ready consumables, the Eureka Math consumables, leveled readers for struggling readers at MCCS, bulletin board paper, globes for the classroom, large class rugs, teacher half-moon tables for small group instruction, disinfecting wipes. How does that go bad? Why didn't we send that in to be used at Central? To me, that's a waste of money. At Lee, cleaning supplies, tissue, 2 podiums, which could have been used at the high school or Central for English or history teachers, a Florida flag, pre-K kitchen supplies for symbolic and constructive play, teacher's desk, trophy cases, a lift machine for disabled individuals, playground equipment. My gracious, the 20 years on the board, never was there playground equipment. Lee had nice, beautiful playground equipment, that was sold for pennies to some lucky person here in town, and the students at Central could have used it. And lastly, the welding equipment from Madison County High School. I didn't see where the board approved to even sell it. If they have, I missed it, and I would like to see that. I would like for someone to show me where the board approved the welding equipment. And the last question, who decided what all would be auctioned? I know board members, that's not in your description, but who decided that? Because, again, there were things that were sold that teachers at Central could have used. I remember back in the days in '98 at the old primary school, when we would get leftover things from other teachers, we would think we had struck gold. It's such a waste for people who have been in the district and had to struggle without having. Ms. Gibson can speak to it. Ms. Hagan on the board years ago, we went to to North Florida when the district was in financial trouble, and we had the big countywide meeting. This is unacceptable. It's truly sickening.
Mr. Alford, you have 30 seconds.
It's sickening as a taxpayer and a former board member to see such waste that has occurred the last few months in this district, and I hope the next auction can be better where teachers' needs are met at Central and the high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to move along to board member comments, and I have shared with each of my board members something that I decided to do when I was first nominated as chair was to do some staff member shout outs. I sent out an email to our staff, and I was flooded with responses from staff members wanting to brag on fellow staff members. So what I've done tonight is I have shared a printed shout out with each of my fellow board members along with the superintendent. And as we go through our comments, we're going to shout out our staff members. And I didn't put who these came from. I'm going to let those remain anonymous. But each of you will hear some positive feedback about some of our staff members. Ms. Hagan, I will let you start.
Thank you. This shout out goes to Brandy Siplin. District shout out nomination, Brandy Siplin. It reads, Brandy is the true definition of dedication, kindness, and hard work. She consistently goes above and beyond, working long hours every single day to ensure our insurance processes are completed accurately and on time. Even when her workload is overwhelming, she never hesitates to offer a helping hand to anyone who needs it. Thank you, Mrs. Brandy Siplin.
Okay, would you like to comment on anything else? Is that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Gibson?
Yes, I have a shout out for Marcia Bass. I would love to give a shout out to Marcia Bass. She is always willing to help our new teachers with any questions we have. Also, she is known for fixing our Skyward for us. She is known as the Skyward Queen in our school. She goes above and beyond to ensure this school runs smoothly academically and offers to help with a range of extracurricular activities. And yes, I have something to add.
Yes, ma'am.
I can add that she has an excellent role model, her mother, Willa Brandon, who is a longtime wonderful educator.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gibson. I have Mr. Jimmy Brown. This person says, I would like to nominate Jimmy Brown at Madison County High School for a shout out. He works tirelessly, always going above and beyond to help our school run smoothly. Most amazingly of all, he always does it with a smile and a cheerful attitude. Whether it's to students, teachers, administration, or anyone else needing something, he's always willing to take the time to help answer whatever is needed. I'm beyond grateful to him, both as a teacher and a colleague, and a parent of an MCHS student.
So I have a shout out for Miss Wendy Evans, who is a teacher at Madison County Central School. I have recently been moved to 4th grade ELA. Miss Evans has not only been an invaluable team member who is always willing to answer questions or let me know what she thinks about a lesson idea. She also has given me so much encouragement throughout this whole transition. This school district is lucky to have her.
I have a shout out, but before I read it, I just want to, for my board member comments, I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight and speaking. You know, there have been concerns addressed by the board on some of those items, but some things can be overlooked And it does help us when we hear from our teachers and we hear from our constituents. I'll be happy to forward you the information for the meeting that was addressed. And I would also just like to say Merry Christmas to all of our staff. It is the last week of school before winter break, and I know the kids are on 100.
Yes.
So you guys are in our prayers this week. We know it's going to be the longest week of your life, but Friday is coming. And I just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas if I don't see you all this week in the school. My shout out is for Amanda Brown. Where do I even start with Mandy Brown? From the very beginning, she has had an open door, open arms, and a heart overflowing with love. Not only for her babies, but for her staff as well. She goes above and beyond anything you could ever expect from an administrator and more. Mandy is consistently seeking ways to improve our school, not just for the sake of the students, but for the staff who she pours into every single day.
Done.
Go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say Merry Christmas, everybody, and everybody appreciate you coming. Also, I'd like to thank our teachers and our students and our bus drivers and everybody employed with our system for a great first half of the year. Rest up, and we need to finish strong when we come back. My shout out is to Miss Katie Roberts. I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Katie Roberts, our media specialist. Every single day she sends out a newsletter that I rely on continuously, and she always includes something positive that brightens my day. I truly appreciate her consistency and her positivity.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carroll. I will move back. Ms. Gibson had something additional that she would like to share, so I'm going to.
Well, of course, Merry Christmas, everyone, but there's been something on my mind that I must bring to the board. I don't think we have a master schedule at activity schedule in our school system. And if we do, I'm going to give you an example. Last Monday, Madison County High School had their Christmas concert, which was a wonderful concert. I attended. But at the same time, the Beta Club at Madison County Central School was doing their induction. So, of course, you can't go to both. Tonight, as we speak, the Madison County Central School Band is giving their Christmas concert at Madison County Central School, and of course, we're here. And the reason why I bring this up is because, well, I brought it up in the 10 years that I've been on the board. I think I brought it up several times. And it's giving support to our students. I mean, when we show up, we show them that they're important and we support them. Now, this meeting that we're attending tonight is not a surprise meeting. This meeting has been on the advertised. We didn't just show up randomly. So you know that we're going to meet on these, and that's one thing we didn't have is perfectly clear when that's why I've been asking you the dates, okay? So it saddens me that none of us could attend including the principal, which thank you for being here tonight, but none of us could attend the Christmas concert. So in other words, they saw none of the school board members, of course, superintendent either. And I don't know what the answer is. I think to appoint maybe one person to be in charge of this. Not one at each school, but just one. And Madam Superintendent, I'll let that be your job.
Maybe we have a process where each school can send their calendar to one person and compile it, or, you know.
It's got to be something.
And I don't think it's the fault of any staff member. They are just planning. It's the end of the school year.
Well,
we can work on our process and be better.
We've got to come up with a plan, because I can't, if there isn't a plan, then it's going to be willy-nilly. We'll have this here and that there, and.
Hey, White, do you need something else to do? No.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Gibson, there is a plan in place.
Yes.
Are you in charge of that?
By January 15th.
I was just going to say,
You
with all of the
promise.
AI technology that's available today,
Okay, the problem's been solved. We solved the problem.
It's been solved, you just got somebody to do it.
Well, we got somebody to do it. That's
So, it's harder than you think, honey.
All right, so I would like to say also, that I hope all of our staff members have a wonderful Christmas break, very much deserved Christmas break. Kick back and relax in your pajamas and watch some movies and enjoy your family. We appreciate everything that you do. I'm especially thankful this week for our payroll department because I know they have been working overtime. And so I'm thankful for them and all of our staff. Do you have something else?
I did.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I don't get to say it because he just left.
Okay.
I was going to
okay.
thank our resource
Well,
officer.
and you can still thank them.
I'd like to thank our resource officer, Greg Ray, that was here tonight from the Madison County Sheriff's Department. We appreciate him, and thank you, and Merry Christmas again.
Okay. I would like to wish you all Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas to all, and to all a
good
good
night.
night.